Summary statements are one of the key counseling skills of motivational interviewing, and they're most often utilized to collect up the most relevant things that the client has said that are going to help them perhaps explore and resolve the ambivalence around change. The summary statements can have a sort of a bouquet quality to them, where I'm listening to a client and they're saying loads of interesting things, and what I'm trying to do is just pick up on the key things that seem to be most relevant to this individual about changing this particular behavior and summarizing that back. I can use summary statements to help develop discrepancy, where I can put together things they might have previously said about the good things and the less good things about changing and pull it together in a summary. Another way of using a summary statement is to sort of demarcate a transition from one place in the interview moving to another place. So if somebody's going from talking about change to maybe wondering or creating a plan to make some change, I can summarize what came before in a way in which we can acknowledge that we've been there and now they're making a decision to move on. The final thing about summary statements is when offering a summary statement to a client, it's really important to check it out for accuracy and just to make sure that your understanding of what they have said matches actually what they intended to say, and it gives them the sort of the editing privileges where they can go back and they can correct you in case you've put something together or tried to explain something to them through a summary statement that wasn't exactly what they meant. Summary statements can be on the longest side, or they could be mini summary statements that go on. There's no exact formula of how and when to do summary statements. What we do know is that it's important to make sure that you include them in the context of motivational interviewing to help the transition feel more fluid, as well as to clearly demonstrate to the individual you're working with that you're listening to them and you're trying to follow along.
Sort of just to get a sort of a snapshot, it sounds like, you know, your boss brings you here, you feel like you've been unfairly treated in terms of someone dobbing you in. When we sort of start to unpack that a little bit around your alcohol and drug use, you weren't happy about sort of how much you were spending, and looking at it, when you add the two together, you're spending quite a bit, and but it also works for in terms of your relationship. It actually seems to work to a degree in that your partner's sort of happier to have you around stoned, and on the other hand, it's affecting your employment and it's costing you a lot of money. Where does that sort of sit with you?
Well, it's not the fact that she likes me being stoned. She just says I'm grumpy and angry when I'm not, really.
So there's something for you about being at a transition stage in your life, or I don't know if you call it a crossroads or what you call it, but some kind of transition or something new that might happen, yeah? And for you, what you're thinking about is, do I have to let these things go that have been a really important part of my life? My friends, the enjoyable times we have together, using alcohol and all of that, yeah? Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah that is.
Well, Mike, I've really enjoyed listening to your perspective and your story a little bit, and it's helped me a lot get an idea about where you're coming from and a little bit about who you are and what's happened in your past, and we've also talked a bit about what's going to happen next, and you've come up with some great ideas. What I hear you saying is that, you know, before all this, before you met the GP, things were going fine, from what, as you would have, you know, as you'd seen it. You were just doing your thing and getting on, working and being busy and being successful, and then suddenly this diagnosis, this doctor tells you that you've got a problem. And you comes along to me and talk today a bit about how you felt about that. Initially, it's probably quite a bit of a shock. It didn't quite fit with how you saw things.
True. True.
And as we've been talking, I'm hearing you saying that maybe if you look back to where you were before you went to the doctor, things weren't quite that right.